A lot of coffee, so if I go through too fast, just like throw something at me, raise your hand, ask a question. I'm fine with everything or anything. And I decided to go full New England lumberjack for you guys today. So I'm going to talk about archery. So a bit of my background. I practice archery, I'm a shooter, but I'm also an instructor in the discipline, and I was a bow tech for a little while. Unfortunately, I couldn't condense everything I know into 10 minutes for you guys, so I'm going to try and keep it pretty quick. So I couldn't actually bring in a bow and shoot in here. I'm sure you guys are pretty thankful for that. But I have this teaching tool that we use called a string bow. So you tie it to your draw length, and then you can practice the form. So in USA Archery, that's the type of instructor I am. We have these 11 steps to archery success. So there's stance. You basically want your feet with your little bit of a flex in your knees, your hips over your feet, and your shoulders up there. Well, I'm not going to have my phone. Okay. I'm not quite as buttoned up as I would be if I was actually shooting. It's a little bit, you have to be wearing tighter clothes, because otherwise the bowstring will grab on stuff and pull off necklaces, hair, jewelry, stuff like that. So you have your stance. We're going to pretend that the door is my target. So knock, that's knocking an arrow onto the string back here. Hook and grip, so that's grip is holding the bow in your hand. This would be like the riser. And then grip is your other hand getting ready to pull the bow back. Posture and alignment, you want to sort of make sure you're standing the right way again. You want to make sure you're holding the bow the right way. You're going to raise the bow. And I am holding it a little bit differently just because the string isn't the same as the riser. That's like the grip on a bow. Drawing back, that's pulling back the string. Anchoring, that's where you want to bring the end every time to make sure you're shooting the same amount of the string. You're pulling the string back the same way every time. Transfer to hold, that's actually moving from your arm and your shoulder muscles to your back muscles. So you can see archers going like this, and now all of it's being held in their back, because a lot of people shoot 20, 30 pounds, and your shoulders just can't hold that, so it's your back that's using all of that and doing all of that work for you. Transfer to hold, then aim, looking down the shaft of the arrow in an open bow. Release. So for something where it's just your hands, you just spring your fingers out immediately. And then follow through, you wait a sec, you watch the arrow, because it's physics, the arrow is going to go flying forward. So if you move while that's happening, you could throw off the course of the arrow. So you want to stay in relatively the same posture. And then feedback. So I'd have an instructor who said, Kate, your stance was great, but your release wasn't. So you might want to do it quicker, or you might want to make sure your anchor's in the right spot the next time. So why I chose this, and why I think it's so important for body discipline, is because, and I apologize for my diagrams, there's a reason I'm a history major and not an art major. Your stance has to be so spot on, because even just one foot out of place or one of your shoulders out of order will throw off the course of the arrow. So here we have the feet, the hips, and the shoulders, and their arm is going straight back, so the arrow is going straight back, and that's going to hit the target. But see, on this guy, his front leg is canted out, his back arm is going down a bit, so the arrow is going to go high and he's going to miss. Whereas something we really see is a thrown shoulder, or an elbow up too high, and that's going to send the arrow down. And there's a million little minute little things that looking at a shooter you can see why they're off. And that's why having like a really knowledgeable and really experienced instructor is so important. But not every instructor is as good as shooting. So you have to have both of those in equal hands, you know? Not everyone can teach, but not everyone can shoot. So you have to be able to shoot well and feel it within your body, but also be able to recognize it within other people's bodies. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Any questions so far? Okay, so connecting it back to this class, Confucius said something really cool. You know, in archery, we have something like the way of the superior man. When the archer misses the center of the target, he turns around and seeks for the cause of his failure in himself. So it's a true discipline, like body discipline. You have to focus, you have to commit half an hour or an hour every week to focus on your archery, to take care of your bow, to maintain your body and your art form. So that's why I think it's so cool and so interesting. And for me, it's a lot like some of the meditations that we've practiced in class. You know, I focus on my breathing. After I shoot, the release and follow through, I'll sit there for a moment and just breathe in. Because usually I shoot outside, so I don't hear the birds chirping, there's usually a breeze going through. You sort of soak in the smell of the mulch. You look at where your arrows are, you shoot 5 or 6 arrows, you take a minute, put your bow back, and I sort of, you know, think about existence that way. Just enjoying life, enjoying being in nature, focusing on myself and taking care of myself, my body, my mind, the world around me that way. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Have you shot any compounders at all?
Yeah. So I have a lot of things. I have a really nice Polaris Recurve. So Recurve is this kind of bow here. It's called that because there's a curve in the limbs. So that's how the power comes from. You pull the string back and the bow itself bends, and then when you release, it wants to snap back to its original form. So that propels the string back to where it wants to be and shoots the arrow. Where a compound is more, it's not usually made out of wood. It's like fiberglass or really strong plastic, and it has wheels that rotate out. And those going back to their original form is what makes the power. So I have a Genesis compound that I teach with. That's what you see in USA Archery and NAS, or National Archery in Schools program. That only goes to about 20 pounds. And then I have a really nice Bear compound that I just got up to 40 pounds. Any other questions? Yeah?
How does breathing play into?
So when you're holding the bow, when you're breathing, it moves the bow up and down. So you have to be at a point where you can breathe, bring it back, and I usually have it pulled back, anchored here. I'll do my breath, and then on the exhale, I'll aim again, wait till I'm still, and then release. So there's different types of releases too. So for a recurve or a smaller compound, it's just fingers. So that's why I was using that with the string. But like a bigger compound, yeah, a release. So I have a trigger release. So that makes it cleaner. You pull like a trigger, you anchor it the same way, but that releases the string smoother, because when you're with your fingers, you can jerk the bow around. That's a really big thing we see a lot that people don't think about, because a lot of people hold it down here, and it can roll it. So you can actually send the arrow. I mean, the arrow's supposed to bend a little as it goes out, but doing, like, rolling it will actually move the string and send the arrow on the wrong course. Any other questions?
Okay, Allison.
Do you see the goal as landing more bullseyes or as
Improving. So we never provide feedback or change sights until we have a good grouping. So if there's 3 arrows in the same spot, but it's 2 feet off the bullseye, that's better than them getting 1 bullseye by chance. So we focus a lot on that, and then figure out a way for them to aim better, or change their aim, or figure out the sights on their bow. Though it depends on the bow, because not all of them have sights.
The last thing, in the Analects, there's another quote. Confucius says how people can argue with each other. Because, you know, Confucian school is really emphasizing learning. And in learning, you have to debate, have to argue with people, like we did it here, right, in everyday basis. But Confucius says the way we argue will be like an archer to compete for archery. That means before entering into the realm, you must bow each other, and then you compete. You shoot the bow, and after the entire thing finishes, you still need to bow each other to respect. So the argument is kind of like we still want to win each other, but we must maintain a basic sense of ritual propriety to show respect to your partner. And that's another quote we use here. Yeah, self-improvement.
Yeah, that's really cool. And back to Allison's question, like something we're going towards is like, I don't want to say masters, but as instructors, is to help our students get a similar body discipline to what we have. So making sure that they're comfortable with their body, they're comfortable with the bow, they're comfortable with the arrows, is our priority above anything else.
Good, the time is up.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, it's wonderful.